Hello, and thanks for listening to my audio review of the Read180 Universal program. Let's begin with a brief review of the 5 principles of the reading brain. Number 1. The brain forms new circuits or connections for written language, also known as neurons, through other processes such as language, sight, vision, cognitive thought, and emotional responses. Number 2. Development of the reading brain heavily depends upon the environment in which it experiences language and the system of writing existing within this environment. In other words, what kind of language, both written and spoken, is the brain exposed to? Number 3. Neurons are generated or reprogrammed to form the reading circuits. This may occur during the REM portion of the sleep cycles, where it is believed that neurons are generated and transfer occurs, taking the information from the working memory and storing it in long-term memory. Number 4. The more readers know about words, for example, what does it mean? The vocabulary aspect. How is it pronounced? The articulation aspect. Recognition or automaticity. And what they know about how words function within sentences and stories, the faster a reading circuit is strengthened. This is a great example of how background knowledge directly influences the development of the reading brain. Past experiences influence new connections the brain can make. And number 5. The reading brain works to connect what is read to oneself and one's personal experiences. The text a student is reading must mean something to them in their life and their world. These principles are reflected throughout the Read180 Universal reading program. This program is originally called Read180, developed in 1999 by Houghton Mifflin Harcourt Corporation, founded on more than 15 years of research. The school I will be teaching at beginning this fall is using the version called Read180 Universal, published in 2015. There are 2 other versions of Read180 available called Read180 Enterprise Edition and Read180 Next Generation. But the Read180 Universal program was brought in as an alternative support curriculum. More intensive and complete than an intervention program, Read180 Universal is being used at my school to provide students with special needs access to a rigorous curriculum based on grade level standards, that it's presented in a format that is not intimidating, student-focused, and designed to be presented in smaller groups with stations and movement throughout the lesson. This activity provided me an excellent opportunity to familiarize myself with the reading program, as I've never taught it, never seen it taught. I never even heard of this program until my interview a couple months ago, where I found out that I'd be teaching middle school alternative curriculum classes, specifically Read180 Universal, to middle school students, special education students, and MTSS students. I spent many hours poring over the website, the research, and the sample student applications, the sample lesson, block schedules, an interactive map of the reading brain that the Read180 program is entirely based upon. Neuroimaging has allowed researchers to identify critical areas of the brain associated with the reading process. Here's what I've found regarding how the Read180 Universal program aims to grow readers based on the areas of the reading brain. Number 1, executive functioning. This allows for the student to plan, focus upon, and recall instruction that has been received. This area may be critical in comprehension of and attending to reading tasks. The Read180 Universal program is designed to maximize critical learning periods. The program begins with a whole group instruction period led by the teacher for 15 to 20 minutes. This is followed by a station rotation. There are 3 stations the students move through for a total of 20 minutes. Stations include small group learning, independent reading, and student application, which is computer-based. The class is concluded by a whole group instruction wrap-up for 5 to 10 minutes. Number 2, vocalization and articulation. This area of the brain develops reading mechanics for self-monitoring. In other words, how a student knows he or she has read or said the correct words. The Read180 Universal program has a student app that the student accesses via laptop, where they select and listen to various texts. Eventually, students record and evaluate their own reading. This assists with building fluency and self-monitoring confidence. Number 3, word analysis. This area of the brain is responsible for vocabulary, the meaning attached to specific words. That is, heavily influenced by background knowledge and experiences. If a student demonstrates difficulties with gaining vocabulary, they may have deficits in content or background knowledge and require additional support to close the gaps. Background knowledge is an absolute must. The Read180 program allows students the opportunity to develop background knowledge both independently and during small group activities. Student-selected topics of interest are presented through lower-level text, pictures, videos, cues, etc. that basically provide exposure to concepts and content at a meaningful and appropriate level. This happens before a student is ever exposed to a related text at grade level or a level challenging to the individual student. Number 4, word recognition and automaticity. This area of the brain is responsible for decoding, spelling, and general word morphology. When fluency is attained, it frees cognitive resources to focus on the comprehension of the actual text. Read 180 allows students the opportunity to build fluency when words are automatically recognized. The students rehearse passages or texts, listen to these passages, record passages, and work with the words found within passages to promote automaticity. Read 180 Universal offers students the opportunity for practice, repeated exposure in multiple formats, self-monitoring tools, and self-correction tools. Number 5, emotional state, or the limbic system. This area of the brain directly impacts self-image and is responsible for creating or recognizing an attachment to or involvement with a topic. If students are not emotionally engaged at some level, if a topic is not made useful or relevant, the attachment may not be strong at all. The limbic system also has influence on the creation and strengthening of a growth mindset. The Read 180 Universal program begins by asking the student to select a video that engages and appeals to him or her. The initial video aims to make the topic personal. It generates an emotional investment and understandable. It begins drawing on and building background knowledge. During my research, I found myself in disbelief that as a special educator for more than 5 years now, I haven't heard of this program. What really astounded me was the amount of research this program offered to teachers, parents, and anyone who wanted to look it up. The website walked me through the program, providing research-based justification for content, the layout, the methods, the material included, the strategies that students would be exposed to and asked to employ, and best of all, the program supported each component with ties to specific areas of the brain and their functions in terms of reading, as well as the 5 principles of the reading brain that I found in our class text.